The data that we collect is used over time to determine which species succeeds, which tells us what we should be planting in the future. So for example, today we planted silver maples. If these silver maples grow well over time, we'll continue to plant more of them because trees are expensive and we want to make sure that if we're going to buy trees, we're buying species that are going to survive over time, because the end result we want is for these trees to live for a really long time and create canopy cover. And the canopy cover is good for wildlife and for us if we want shade. And if we're, for example, planting in these kinds of areas, it really helps to cool down this area and surrounding areas as well. I'm going to go over a little bit of how we do these measurements. This protocol that we created is based off of a Smithsonian protocol that we've changed a little bit to apply to smaller trees and shrubs. So the first thing that we do when we get to a tree is we found a tag that we place there. The tag will have the site code, which is usually a 3-letter code that tells you the name. And then next is the season and year that it was planted. So this particular tag you're looking at, the site name is RTH, it's Ruth Thompson. The season is summer, and then it was planted in summer of 2016, which is what the 16 stands for. And the very last 2 numbers are the specific tree number. So this is for tree number 16. And once we've noted the tree number, we'll just note that on our data sheet. So that's the very first column on the data sheet is the tree number. The second thing we'll note is the species name. If you're remeasuring a tree, you'll be able to find the species name in the old data. Otherwise, you can ask somebody who knows the species name. Then you start taking the actual measurements. So the very first measurement that you take is the root collar. So we use an instrument called a caliper in order to take the root collar. And we measure the root collar in millimeters. So what you do is you slide this to the base of the tree, which is the root collar where it's coming out of the ground. And if my thumb is the root collar, you just press this very gently, and it should be gentle enough that you can just slide it right out. And if it's not, you're pressing too hard. And then you can turn this towards you and you can read this. So my thumb is a little over 15 millimeters in millimeters in width. And that's what you'll note in the third column in your data sheet. The second measurement that you'll take is height. So we use a 150 centimeter measuring tape to do that. First thing you want to do is find 0. It will be right at the top here. And that 0 will go at the base of the tree. And you'll just measure all the way up. If the tree happens to be taller than 150 centimeters, which ends here, you'll just loop this back around, put the 150 and the 0 together. Oh, other side. And all the way until you reach the top, and you'll just add the 2 measurements together. Once you've got the height, if your tree happens to be taller than 130 centimeters, so taller than about this much, you'll want to take a third measurement called diameter at breast height, or DBH. We use the caliper again, so at 130 centimeters, you once again put the caliper at the stem of the tree, press it lightly, take it out, and read it in millimeters. And you'll note that in the next column under DBH. And the final measurement that you're going to take is called crown width. That's 2 measurements, crown width 1 and crown width 2. And they are perpendicular to each other, meaning they're kind of like a cross section. They're 90 degrees at 90 degree angle to each other. So crown width 1 is the branches that stick out the furthest, and you'll measure this ignoring the leaves that are coming out because those will fall off. And we want the consistent measurements throughout the year. And you'll just measure from twig to twig the furthest, and then that's crown width 1 in centimeters. And then you turn it to be 90 degrees, and you do a second measurement in centimeters for crown width 2. And the idea is that you can multiply crown width 1 and crown width 2, length times width, to get area of the crown. And the very last thing you'll note is the health measurement, or rather a health check. So the first thing you note is the tree alive or dead? If you're just planting the tree, it should be alive. One way, if it's later on that you're measuring this or remeasuring it, a way to note that the tree is dead is if it's no longer producing leaves, if the leaves that are out look very crumpled up and dead, and the tree has just stopped growing. Next thing you want to note is the tree browsed? So browsing is when animals will nibble on the stem or on the leaves just because they get hungry, and that can kill the tree. So we just want to note it. And then if you see any funguses or like leaves, and the leaves have holes in them because insects have eaten them, you'll want to note that as well. And anything about the tree that you think might tell us about the health of the tree, you can note in the comments section. And once you've done that, you finish measuring the tree.